With the recent release of Isonzo, I've seen a lot more debate online about how realistic the game's reloading is. So some people have called the game out as unrealistic because you can't top off rifles like the Steyr M95 and the Carcano, which use end block clips. So I wanted to answer the question of whether or not you can, in fact, top off a rifle that uses an end block clip. So as far as the World War I rifles in Isonzo that use end block clips, the short answer is no, you can't. And I'm going to demonstrate why that is. Now, I've seen some people claiming that you can just open the bolt on a rifle with an end block clip and just thumb rounds into the clip in the magazine to top it off. Now, they are right about that with at least one rifle, and that's the M1 Garand. Now, as you can see, the end block clip for the M1 is a double stack dual feed clip, unlike the Steyr M95 and the Carcano. So what this means is that even though it's a little tricky because I have to hold the charging handle back while I do this, I can, in fact, load and top off this rifle with the clip in the magazine. Now with our Steyr Mannlicher and the Carcano, both these clips are single stack, single feed, and they really just are not meant to be loaded straight down past the feed lips. Yeah, you're not going to do that with these rifles. But that still leaves the question of, can you top off these rifles at all? So this is our Steyr Mannlicher M95 clip. So since this is a rimmed cartridge, the way this loads, let's put one in the top, slide it down, put our next one in, and the rim will be in front of the round below it. And that's how that works. And there's not much tension on these clips unless you have all 5 rounds loaded in the clip. We've got our Steyr Mannlicher here, and we got 1 round in our clip here. And yeah, you obviously can't push straight down, and we really can't push down on the round and slide it into the clip either. I can try holding the clip in place through the ejection port here, but yeah, there's really not a good way to do this. The Carcano clip works a little differently. It can be loaded either direction, and since these are rimless cartridges, the way these load, you push them in, and this dimple in the clip will grab onto our extractor groove in the cartridge. And even though there's not much tension on these, that dimple is holding onto these, so it doesn't really matter how many rounds you have in the clip still holds onto them pretty well. Right here we've got our Carcano, and with this, we can kind of do that if I put it partially into the chamber, right? Hold the clip up with my fingers through the ejection port. Okay, I got it. So with the clip in the gun, I've put a round in the clip, but I don't really have leverage in here to get our cartridge to hook onto the dimple in the clip. So even though I can load 1 round in the top and it'll feed, I'm not going to be able to load multiple rounds to top off the clip. Now, one other way you can top off one of these rifles, if you have a partially loaded clip, you can push down, making sure our rim is in front of the previous cartridge, and the whole clip will push down, manually move the bolt up, it'll snag under the extractor, and you've loaded a round while already having a partially loaded clip in the gun. Now, you might have noticed that all those methods seemed really difficult to do in the field, especially with someone shooting at you. So I would say really the only practical way to top off an en-bloc clip in these rifles would be to eject the whole clip and load loose rounds into it and then reinsert into the rifle. But since, from my understanding, virtually all of this ammunition would have been issued to soldiers already loaded in clips, there's really no reason why anyone would be walking around with loose ammunition anyway. So the most feasible way that soldiers would have topped off their rifles would have been to simply eject their partially loaded clips and then insert a full clip. Now, this still presents a problem for our Austro-Hungarians. While the Carcano retains the cartridges on the extractor groove with this dimple, like I said, that means that you can really shake these partially loaded clips around and the rounds aren't going to go anywhere. And as soon as you go to load that partially loaded clip back into the rifle, the rounds will just align themselves. Meanwhile, for our Steyr Mannlicher, if you have a partially loaded clip, well, if you shake those rounds enough, they can fall out and be out of alignment. Good luck loading that clip back in. So there you go. I hope some of you learned something from that. Isonzo might not be perfectly historically accurate, but I think it gets pretty close and I enjoy it. I think if you enjoy these old rifles, you'd probably enjoy it too. And I'm definitely not sponsored by the makers of Isonzo.